I must give an awful impression because no matter where I sit in this house, there is some sort of mess behind me. I thought I'd try and get into some sort of natural sunlight, but it doesn't seem to have helped it at all. It is the 21st of December today. I don't know whether that means it is the shortest day. I don't know whether that means it is the winter solstice, but there are only 10 days left of 2022. And quite honestly, I've realised how lax I have been about returning to this channel as of late. Indeed, the last two videos that feature me weren't even on this channel. They are over on Charlie Brooks' channel for our Charlie and Charlie's Christmas Cracker, which ends tomorrow in our live show, if things work okay. Charlie and I are neither the most technical of people, and whilst we've looked at StreamYard and all of that, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's happening at 6:30 in the evening anyway, so that gives us some time to figure out all of those technical things that we know note about. It's been a long time since last we spoke. I have recorded a November wrap-up. I just haven't edited it. I have got that Dracula vlog. That wasn't a Dracula vlog. It was a vlog about the historian and Dracula the Undead. And I still haven't edited that, and that's over a month ago now. And let's not even get started on the Marple reading vlog that I did, where I reviewed every single one of the short stories in that collection, because all that footage is currently sat on my computer. And what puts me off is because of whatever is wrong between my phone and my computer, I constantly have to encode the videos, and I don't have much storage left on my computer, so once I've encoded the videos, then I'm trying to save the videos, and it's just a whole thing. There's part of me that's just incredibly reticent to try and edit them. Also, time has been an issue these last few months, none more so than this month that we're currently in. December is always my busiest month. It has been ever since well, let's not go into the school days, because I think that anyone who's talking about school, we know how busy it is there. So let's just stick with leaving university. Morning, Mr. and Mrs. Magpie. I know I shouldn't be so gender specific. They could be both males, both females. They could be non-binary magpies, but that's a different story to talk about. So yes, so for at least 9 years now, it'll be 10 in July, every December has been incredibly busy since I got this job. I mean, I think that's just the case with December in retail, but I also have stuff to go on with the writers group, and I think that Christmas in my family, at least, has always been, it used to be this huge family event. Now that all of my family hates each other, it's made it a bit easier to go about things, but I really should have worn a Christmas jumper for a festive Woolgathering video, shouldn't I? Oh well, didn't think about that. Don't care. Yeah, so it's always been busy in terms of family, but not so much now, since certain family members don't speak to us either because they've died or they just don't like us. And so the only thing I have to concern myself with in terms of this household is buying presents for family members. And I think that a lot more people have found it difficult this year than I found it difficult. A lot of people weren't able to acquire things off the internet, or if they did, those things haven't arrived. I just went into town and I went by the whole mentality of, well, if they don't have it, they're not getting it. And there's one present outstanding that I wanted to get my sister that I haven't got her, and I still haven't got a specific gift for my mother. But I don't know. There's part of me that, like, doesn't much care to get stressed when it comes to Christmas anymore. I've not watched as many Christmas films as I would have liked to have done, which is something that we talk about regularly. Every Christmas, I talk about how I haven't watched all the films that I wanted to watch. I have currently only watched something I watched the other day, actually, and I've forgotten it already, so that shows how good a film it was. No, gone out of my head, doesn't matter then. So, yeah, busy. So, had work. The first week of December, I had a Christmas party to attend, work to attend, and then on the first full week of Christmas, I was in work on the Monday, went back to work on. So, we recorded Charlie and Charlie's Christmas Cracker on the Tuesday. I went into work. I took the dog for a walk, then went straight to work. Finished work at 10 o'clock and came home. And then the next day, tried to get Christmas shopping done and all that before going to Poems and Pints at the Button Warehouse for our festive edition. And then the following week, there was more, such as my cousin's was renewing his wedding vows, another episode of Charlie and Charlie's Christmas Cracker, in work, out for work again, meeting somebody on Thursday, back in work. It's just like trying to find these small moments of time in which to do things, and all those things that I want to do are catching up on the things that I should have done already, which I suppose is why I've kind of pushed Christmas presents to the back, because I'm like, well, these people still have to live with me, whether or not they like the gifts that they get. What has been going on in my life? Nothing. It'd be easier to talk about what's going on in your life, so feel free to tell me in the comments, because if it hasn't been work, then it hasn't really been happening. However, I have drank more alcohol this month than I have perhaps drunk in the entire year, because of that many things going on. And I'm aware that you don't have to drink at these things. I'm aware of that. But, it's just who I am as a person. However, today, I have tea. I should say about the Christmas Poems and Pints, that was actually one of the first new things I've written in a while. And I have recorded it and hope to share that on my channel, so if it's not there already, I'm sorry about it. I specifically wrote it because I thought that when people are having a rather awful year, you don't want to remind them about how awful things are, and you just want to have a bit of fun. So that's what I did. And I also wrote another poem for a colleague at work that I won't be sharing, but just to say that if we wanted to talk about writing now, that is something new that I wrote. Because writing-wise, like every single Woolgathering video this year, it hasn't been happening. And I keep going back to, you released Royally Doris, you're allowed a bit of time. But how much time do you need, Charlie? I've flitted about through 3 projects and I can't settle down to any of them. And I've previously talked about maybe writing all 3 when the mood takes me. Charlie Brooke Reads, is currently the only person who knows about a 3rd secret project in this sphere. The writers group have heard part of it, and my mother's read it and would like me to continue that. And then in bed, last night, out of nowhere, I wrote 3 pages of the charity shop book in this raggedy notebook. Now I'm like, that's the project that has the most words dedicated to it and that has a full plan. But so does the 2nd Alice Valentine book, and so does the secret book. So having a full plan doesn't even matter anymore. And part of me keeps going back to Charlie at 12 years old, who once wrote a novel in a week. I'm not saying it was good, a 12-year-old wrote it. I can't remember whether I had been inspired. I can't remember if I'd been inspired by The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I know that I started writing it on Boxing Day, and the first scene saw the villain it was from the perspective of the villain going underground into his lair, and it was just very descriptive about this lair. He did a bit of magical trickery that regenerated his body so he was no longer old and decrepit and he became young again. And then he returned to the household where he lived with his daughter and his grandson. Within 2 chapters, it was revealed he was the villain. I'm really not sure what his plan was in life. It'd be nice if I could find that book again. It was... I don't have it. I don't have a single copy of it printed off, and the computer is beneath my mother's bed and is full of viruses, so I'm unlikely to ever find that story again. I know that it was terrible writing, terrible prose. I know the name of the protagonist was Nikolai, because that was inspired by the name Nikolai from Nikolai of the North. There might have been a werecat, and I know that some of the plot points definitely got reused in my children's book that I never finished, that I started rewriting in 2017, and I never finished the rewrite of it. And I should have done, because a lot of people asked me about that book and asked me when I'm going to finish it, because they really enjoyed hearing from it. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know, because I didn't necessarily hit a block with it. I was writing it for fun, and then fun turned into a lot of work because I'm a perfectionist, and so when things weren't going well and I wasn't able to just make it completely nonsensical, I was getting frustrated. As frustrated as I am now, really, when it comes to writing and not being able to figure out which project to work on next. I'll be out walking Sally and the secret project will call to me, or I'll see something and Alice will call to me, and all these different voices are there wanting to be written, and I have still not an iota of an idea. I've considered putting polls out there before onto Twitter and Instagram, but then I'd be like disappointed if they gave me the wrong answer, and I'm not even sure what the right answer is. I tell you, it's weird being inside my brain sometimes. Reading wise, that has slowed down. I've read 4 books this month. Technically, though, it's more like 2 and 2 bits. So, well, actually, can it even be called that? One was a graphic novel. So the 2 books I read for the Christmas cracker, a graphic novel and The Virgin Mary's Got Knits by Gervais Finn. Then on Monday night, I read The Wren Boys by Carol Ann Duffy, which is one of her short poems. And last night I finished reading The Haunting Season, which is by a whole host of writers. So that had just been finishing off the stories that I'd missed reading on previous Sundays. That was the book I was reading every Sunday, and reading a short story in the run up to Christmas. And then I decided that I didn't want to necessarily read a horror story on Christmas Day. And I'm actually glad that I didn't read the final story in this book on Christmas Day. It's called Monster by Elizabeth McNeil, and it is a fantastic short story. It brings the gore and the grotesquerie that I expect from that author, having read The Doll Factory, but not her second novel. Yet I'm glad that I didn't save it and read it on Christmas Day, because for me, Christmas time is not joyous, so I don't know why I was about to say that. It's somewhere where I try to find the most joy in a day, and I'm not going to find it in that story is all. Currently need to try and get about 200 pages of Babel read today, to then try and finish it tomorrow. I also want to read some more of Christmas Days by Jeanette Winterson, a portion of the Christmas Chronicles by Nigel Slater, and read some of a short story by Anthony Trollope. I still haven't finished The Small House at Allington. I wanted to finish that last month and then read The Last Chronicle of Barset this month as well, so I could go into the new year and read the Palliser novels sequentially as well. And I've still got plans. I have 10 days to try and get it done. It could be a lot of audiobook listening, but I really just want to get that done. Also aware that I never put out my 3rd quarter favourites or my final quarter of the year favourites. There was a reason behind this, and the reason was that I'm planning on doing a top 40 video, similar to when I did a rankings video in 2019. I tried this again last year, ranking every single book that I read in 2021. It was a mess. It ran on for about 2 hours and I couldn't bring myself to edit the footage because of how much of a mess it was. But I think with just 40 books, which are all top 40s, it will make it, which are all favourite books, I should say, it should make it a little bit more interesting and more difficult to try and bring together my top 10. I have an official top 10 that I wrote down, but I want to see how it matches up, because sometimes books that you expected to be in the top 10 end up meeting in an earlier round. And that's just carnage. You have to choose a favourite then. And sometimes books that you didn't think would get through to the top 10. Kind of like Pearl in season 7 of Drag Race. Yes, I am still... Well, actually, there's quite a few people on season 7. I don't know how they made it through to the final. Actually, that happens a lot. I'm still not over season 3 of All Stars. And according to recent interviews, neither is RuPaul. That's been some common watching with Charlie and I this year. It's been basically every week, because I feel like there hasn't been a week without a new Drag Race series being announced. I said this before, I haven't even watched the Italian version, and they're on season 2, and I plan to do that because of my Italian language learning. I haven't watched the second series of either series of Italy. I haven't watched any of the series that have come out around the English-speaking ones, but my goodness, there's a lot to be going on with. And some people dedicate their entire days to this. I'm not that type of person. Today I must get some Christmas presents wrapped. I will be wrapping them in my bedroom. I could actually wrap them here. The only reason I'm not wrapping currently is I don't want to disturb Sally. She's currently in my bed. Actually, she spends most of her time in my bed. I was informed that on Monday, when I left for work, she got into my bed, and even when my brother and my dad came home, she stayed in bed, and she didn't come downstairs. She just sat with her head poking out from underneath the blanket until 5:20 when I arrived home. Which I think means that she likes me, and if she doesn't, well, that's upsetting. I've also got a Christmas tree up, which is covered in felt decorations. I went with a small tree this year, and didn't have any space for baubles or lights because of the number of felt decorations I have. I think I found the right size tree for me. However, there's part of me that wishes it lit up, and that's an error I made. How are you feeling about Christmas this year? I know there wasn't really a segue into that from Christmas tree to how you're feeling about Christmas, but I am aware that a lot of people have perhaps changed the way they're shopping this year, because we've had 3 exceptionally busy weeks at the charity shop. One week we made a lot more money than we would usually make in 1 week, and we have noticed this tendency for people to be coming in and shopping at the charity shop for gifts and the like, as opposed to going into general shops and what have you. I don't know whether it is because people are struggling for money, because I don't live there. I work in a relatively affluent area. For me, I've never really gone out of my way to spend tons of money on family members anyway. I spend the most on my brother and sister. The half brothers do get stuff, but probably not as much as them. Which then they'll talk about favouritism, and I'm like, okay. But I always keep it within the family, apart from, a few people who've chosen to give me gifts outside of the family, and then I get them a gift to say thank you. And suppose there are a few people who get gifts outside the family. There were more. There have been more in the past. There have been others in the past as well, but those ones stopped speaking to me. Why would you ever want to stop speaking to me? Well, I know that one person got stranded in New Zealand, but she's back now. Either way, Christmas for me. I've said that I am not really this hugely stressed out person when it comes to Christmas. I quite like it. I'm probably more stressed out about the fact that I've not watched all the films that I wanted to watch. That's probably my biggest pressing issue. But I'll get it done. It's like, I'll get it done. I ain't worried about that. It's because I generally watch films with my mother. And since she's not here, I'm like, oh, there's no point in watching a film then. I'll just watch another episode of Dinner Ladies. So I've watched a lot of the Christmas specials that I would watch. I've watched Dinner Ladies Christmas specials, Royal Family Christmas specials, the Vicar Dibley Christmas special is how I started the month. I haven't watched Home Alone this month because I have watched Home Alone I don't know how many times this year, as well as Home Alone 2, because I don't just save Christmas films for Christmas. So what I'd really like to get watched are Arthur Christmas, The Muppets Christmas Carol, now that it's got the restored bit in, and Scrooge. I have to watch Scrooge. I have to watch Scrooge with Albert Finney. I need to get it done. That is slowly becoming my favourite version of Scrooge. It's the campness of it. I go back to all the time the song where Scrooge is singing "Thank You Very Much" whilst dancing alongside his own coffin. I just love it. I love that sort of dark humour so much. Everybody is thrilled that he's dead and he hasn't realised it. And then he descends into hell. I mean, really. And then I'm saving the Alistair Sim version for when I finish work on Saturday afternoon. And I am going to watch that of an evening. It's a shame that I don't get to watch this film with certain relatives that I know also enjoy it, and we used to watch it together every year because this was their favourite version of the film. But these things happen. People change their minds about things. And it's something I tell people all the time. Just because you're unable to do something with somebody that you would love to do, again, doesn't mean that it has never happened before. It doesn't mean you don't still have the memory of it. And you can't draw happiness from that memory and go into doing the thing, such as watching a film here, on your own, and still being able to grasp joy from the nostalgia of getting to see it for the first time with that other person. I mean, admittedly, when I first saw Scrooge with Alistair Sim, my biggest complaint was the lack of Muppets. And then as I grew older, it just became this hugely nostalgic thing for me. And so I stick to 3 Scrooges generally. I say Scrooges, I stick to 3 versions of A Christmas Carol generally. There are others that I want to see. There are others that I have watched and I have not liked. There's a certain one on Netflix that I've avoided because I've heard that it tries to be the Albert Finney version, but it does it poorly. And it does it without any sort of heart. And apparently it is definitely a cash grab. I don't know, I've not watched it, but people tell me these things and I'm like, there's enough versions of Scrooge that I like without having this one. Either way, plans for Christmas Day. So it's the 21st today. So tonight I'm speaking Italian with una signora. I shared this poem on Instagram the other day because a while back I wrote what was going to be called the Italian collection. It's not an entire... It's a group of poems about learning Italian and that sort of thing. And I wrote a poem called Divento una gazza. And that one was written in English. And I decided that I would translate this for the lady who I speak Italian with most Wednesdays, but over the last few months that's changed based on my busyness. And so I translated it into Italian as best as I could. I don't know whether it's good Italian, I don't know whether all of the words are correct. I used the knowledge that I have to write this poem, well, rewrite it into Italian. Some words that we would use in English weren't available in the other language. So it begins. Quando Alessandra mi dici che le piace le spille, divento una gazza, rovistare nella nazione, cercando le spille, costruire un nido sotto la scrivania. And I decided I wanted to gift that to her for Christmas, or Natale. And so one of my volunteers said she got this nice paper, which I've just remembered, I think I left at work the other day, but she brought me a box of this nice paper that she got an abundance of, and she said, well, once you've used it for this poem, you can create bookmarks. Like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we printed off this poem onto the nice paper, and I presented it to the lady on Saturday, il sabato, and I don't think she understood why I was giving it to her come un regalo per Natale, perché she dropped she folded it up and dropped it into her bag without a second thought. Anyway, my father's just arrived home, so we'll have to pick this up later. He's currently upstairs, so we'll just finish this portion of video. So, the Italian lady did not realise that poem was a gift for Christmas, so I ended up purchasing her a brooch. Which makes sense, she always comes in for brooches, and she thought it was a bit troppo carina per me. She liked it, which thought it was a bit too expensive, so like, right, I'll get it you for Christmas. So that's what I did. Because I'm pretty sure that tonight when we have our Italian conversation, she is going to think that this was homework, and she's going to treat it as such and probably rate my translation skills, so that'll be fun. Then Thursday is my last day off before working the 23rd and Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, we're planning on taking it easy, not really cooking too much, buffet style food on the table. I'll finish work at 1, so she'll be back here maybe between 2 and 3. In a startling turn of events, my video cut out the other day, and so I lost the footage. But we did close the shop early today. It's Christmas Eve. And it's 8:30 in the evening. I haven't got a single present wrapped. I've still not read A Christmas Carol, which is a Christmas Eve tradition for me. And I'm kind of not mad about it. So we're really doing a good job this year of not allowing the stress to get to us. I just wanted to check in and end this video correctly and say thank you to everyone who has stuck around with this channel in 2022. I hope that if you do celebrate this festive period of the year, that you have an absolutely wonderful time. And if you do not celebrate, if you are perhaps one of the many other religions celebrating a festive event at this time of year, I hope that you're having a wonderful time. Basically, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, is what I'm trying to say. Have a great time. I know everyone talks about the struggles. Everyone talks about struggling. It's unavoidable. But whatever you're doing, have a good one. Because until next time, that is all.